Smiling faces, the family way. Margaret Lewin Quilting will make your day.
Hi, I'm Margaret Lewin and welcome to Margaret Lewin Quilting. Today we're going to be working on these little picot stitches. Picot stitches can be done in different sizes. One of the things that you need to know about them though is that they need to be worked in odd number of strings or laying stitches, and I'll get on to that in a minute when I start showing you the video. I'm going to work mine in 3, all right? Picot stitches also can be adhered down. Hopefully you can see how that one's adhered down into kind of like this arch, or they can be left free. Either or you can do, and I'll show you how to attach them down also. So what we're going to be doing is filling one of our circles with the picot stitches. Now what I've done here is 2 layers of 4. Let me fold these over. Here's 1 layer of 4. And then what I did was I actually made my 4 on the inside first. Then when I went to do the outside, what I did was offset it a little bit so that it covered or went over the first layer a little bit. Just a little bit, just to give it more of that blossomy feel that I think it is. So this is what we're going to be working on today, and then next I'll be showing you how I'm going to go ahead and fill in the inside of my little flower here. So if you'd like to see how I do my picot stitches, stay tuned and I'll show you how. Today we're going to work on a stitch that's called a picot stitch. It's really a cool one. I can show it to you right here. This is a picot stitch. Now it can either be free and loose, or it can be stitched down. One way or the other you can do it. It's up to you. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you how to make the stitch. So to make this stitch, you're going to need a straight pin and your thread. So the first thing I'm going to do is just put my straight pin in. All right. I'm going to turn my fabric over and I'm going to do my little anchor stitch, which I do. And how I do my little anchor stitches, I just pick up a piece of the fabric. When I'm working with wool, I put my thread through it. This stitch does require quite a bit of fabric or thread, so you're going to want to make sure you have a pretty long piece. Then I'm just going to cross over it. That's it. And I'll do that crossover stitch that I call. I'll do the crossover stitch twice. So there's my first one. And I'm going to do it one more time. And then I am ready to bring my thread up to the front side of my work. So the first thing I'm going to do, once I get this turned over correctly, is I'm going to start thinking about the size that I really want my picot to be. And I think that's probably big enough. It's maybe 3/8 of an inch. I don't think it's quite a 1/2 inch, and I don't have a ruler right here with me, but maybe 3/8. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come up on one side of my needle, one side or the other. It's up to you which one you want to do. And then I'm going to wrap it around my pin, just like that. Then I'm going to go right back down again, right here, about the same distance from the needle on both sides, right? Oop. And then I'm going to come up right next to my needle. Once I've come up right next to my needle, I'm going to thread my thread around All right, and now I'm going to start my weaving process. For this, I always use the eye of my needle. I don't use the point. And what I'm going to do is thread it under, over, under, pull my thread through without knotting it. All right. Once I've done that, I'm going to then take the tail and I'm just going to kind of pull it up tight, because what I want to do is I want to push those threads right up next to where I've got my needle, nice and tight. Then I'm going to do the opposite. So I'm going to go over, under, and over. Bringing my needle again back to the side that I started on. Push this up now the best I can to keep it nice and tight. So that's one of the things you do want to do with your picot stitches, is they do want to be tight. So now I'm going to do the opposite. Under, over, under. And again, tighten my stitch. And don't hesitate to grab the eye of your needle and just play with that thread. Just push it right up tight. Okay? And then just keep going. So I tend to turn this a lot when I'm working on it, which I probably should get used to doing it all in one direction, but I've yet to do that. And at this stage, it's probably too late to teach me. At this stage, it's probably too late. So just make it tight, and then just keep right on doing that, under, over, under, so that you create this woven pattern on your piece. So here I go again, just weaving it back and forth, and then pushing it with my needle, the head of my needle, the eye of my needle, I mean, just a little bit, just to get it right up there, because I do want this tight. I don't want it loose, I want it tight. The tighter it is, the nicer my petal, because this is going to turn out to be a flower petal, is going to be. So I'm probably going to speed it up here, get this going, only because it does take a few minutes to make a picot stitch. So here we go. Alright, I'm starting to get down to the last couple of rows here, and it starts to get tough to do this weaving, so I'm going to start by removing my needle. Alright, once I've removed my needle, then I've got a little bit more space and I can keep going. So what I'm going to do now is just continue to weave, and at this point I can actually take my needle and just push the stitch right up too. And what I'm doing is just weaving it through the base now. You may have to hold your needle or hold your petal down a little bit, but I'm just weaving it. Sometimes you can actually manage to do it without removing the pin, but as you can see, I obviously had to remove it in order to stabilize it. Almost there, almost at the end. I do like to especially take it when I get down to this point and just kind of push it up through the weave like a weaver does on a weaver's loom. And again, just going to keep right on going. Now the last couple of stitches, I will be honest, they get a little tough to get through, only because you're working with such a small area. But if you don't get them through tight, what ends up happening is your little leaf becomes really, really floppy, and it doesn't quite do what you want it to do. So you do want to make sure that you get it as tight as you potentially can. And again, I'm just pushing it right up. And maybe have 3 more stitches, maybe 4. We'll see. Keep pulling it so that you've got it pretty stable all the way through. I got this little bump there and I don't like that, so I need to fix that. So I'm going to pull my last stitch back a little bit to give myself some leeway, and then I'm going to pull it. There we go. Now that's better. That's it. Just work with your stitch. Alright, and it doesn't hurt to just take it and push it like this so that you can get your needle back in again. Here I go, I've pushed it. I'm going to keep right on going. And you can see I'm pushing to keep it through there. Let me move this a little bit better for you. There. I am working at it, but like I said, if I don't work at it, what will happen is that my stitch itself won't stand up the way I want it to, and it will kind of flop over. Won't look real nice. So here I am again, and you can see it's getting really tight, but I betcha I can get 1 or 2 more stitches in here. Okay. Whoop, took my last stitch right out. Okay, there's 1 more. Here comes the second one. There's 2 more, and I can do another one. I can feel it. Whoop, there's another one. I'm going to push that. There. See how important it is to pull at the threads when you bring it through? That it really makes a big difference, because if you don't pull them, you end up with bumps like these potentially. Now those are small enough that it's not a worry for me. That's fine. All right, I'm getting down there. I think I'm really only going to be able to get 1 more in there. So I'll take that up. This is going to go under. And if it gets too tight, don't be afraid to just do it with just the eye of the needle and do 1 stitch at a time. But I think that is the end of my picot. Now, in order to stabilize my stitch, what I'm just going to do is take it right back down. All right, I have kind of taken it around to the side a little bit, but I am going to take it right back down, and then I will secure it on the back side. Now, one of the neatest things about this stitch is you have your choice. You can either leave it standing up and free on its own, so it becomes really 3D dimensional, or you can take it, let me bring my needle to the front side of the work. You can take it and you can pick up this stitch and you can secure it at the very tip. And when you go to secure it, let me show you what you can do. It's kind of cool. When you go to secure it, you can make it bump like this. Well, let me turn it sideways so you can see it. You can make it bump like this, or you can lay it completely flat like this. So you've got some real options with this, which I think makes it really, really cool. On mine, I am going to go ahead and I'll grab a little piece of the end of it, just the very tip. And let's see, I want to see if I've got the in far enough. Yep, I think I do. I'm going to pull it through the very tip, and then I'm going to take it right back down on the other side. And all of a sudden, my Picot is definitely three-dimensional. So that is how you do a Picot stitch. Now, if you're going to do another one, which I am, I'm going to overlap them to make them into a petal. So here I go. I'm going to start the next one in between one of my woven rows. All right. I'm going to bring it up, grab my pin. I'm going to try to do it about the same size, which it's kind of hard to tell now because I've taken my piece out. I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to weave it around. Take it back down the same distance over. And then I'm going to come right up next to the needle. Okay. And I will start weaving this one. I'll be back when this is all done and let you see what it looks like with a bunch of woven picots right next to each other. Thank you so much for sticking around all the way to the end while we made our Picot stitches. What I'll be showing you next is how we make what's called the drizzle stitch. And this is my little drizzle stitch. It's a neat 3D stitch, and it's a lot of fun to work with, and it's very easy to make. You can see I did quite a few of them on this piece. Do I have any on this side? Yep, I've got some over here too. So they're very easy to do, and they're actually a lot of fun. So I'll be putting my drizzle stitches inside of my flowers. I haven't decided what color yet. I almost think I'm probably going to use the purple though. So again, thank you so very much for sticking around all the way to the end, and I'll see you again soon to show you how we go about doing the drizzle stitch. Thanks.